Hi, good afternoon everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'd actually like to say thank you for watching my previous video. I'm very pleased to actually see it gain lots of traction. And in the comment section, there's guys that saying, please can you actually do the next video? And yeah, that's the intent of this video. So the intent of this video is mainly to actually show you how to actually set up a brand new Ethernity node if you haven't received a node from Ethernity Cloud themselves, okay? And my following video that will come shortly afterwards will be a video to say if you have received an Ethernity Cloud node, what to actually do. And that will actually be very minimal setup, so very easy to do. Although you guys should have already set up that node already, but if you haven't, here's the video for that, okay? That I'll post in the description below. Yeah, so basically this video will be mistakes, what to do, what not to do, and even though you do follow that whole blog on actually how to set up a Ethernity Cloud node, you will always run into hiccups. If it comes to setup, when it comes to updating, people update repositories, libraries, and it can be quite painful. So, I mean, here's a step-by-step guide for you to actually follow. Before actually doing this video, I'd actually first like to say thank you for NebuHub for actually sponsoring this video. Couldn't have done it without them, so just give you a lowdown. I'm actually part of a team called NebuHub. I'm working with two colleagues. We're actually building the ultimate gaming platform. Okay, so what that actually means, why we're here, what that actually does is we, as a gamer myself, if I actually had to put myself in shoes, for a brand new game to actually start into the gaming crypto world, I actually find that very, very difficult to actually understand or even where to start. Okay, so let's just say I actually want to play Cities Heroes, right? I mean, that's on the Ethereum network. I actually first have to understand how to get my assets on the Ethereum network. I have to understand the decentralized exchange that's involved, which is Uniswap, and also where can I buy my NFTs or trade and lend my NFTs. That's OpenSea for most users. But what happens if I want to play another game on the Polygon network? How do I actually bridge from the Ethereum network to the Polygon network? And Uniswap is mainly for Ethereum, right? So what do I use for Polygon network? You'd have to use QuickSwap, and I think all this information is actually an overload for a brand new user. And yeah, this is why we're here. We believe that we actually think that a user shouldn't have to access multiple platforms to play their favorite game, even if it's a few games. We don't think that they should have to access multiple platforms to actually buy the tokens for the games, or even access multiple platforms to buy NFTs, rent, or trade NFTs. So yeah, this is what we're about. We actually want to get everything down on one platform. We currently finished our MVP stage, so we're actually onboarding games at the moment. But yeah, let me just show you a quick preview on our website. But yeah, please can you support us? I'll actually link below to our Telegram channel, our Twitter channel, and our website. But yeah, just to give you an idea on our website, that's just nebuhub.io. Okay, it's loading at the moment. Okay, so yeah, this is our website. So basically this is our gaming library. This is actually what we built at the moment, so users can actually browse their gaming library and they can actually download or actually play the actual games. Okay, so I mean, as I said, we want to be a gaming aggregator, wallet manager, NFT aggregator and manager, and we also want to be multi-chain platform to support multiple games. Just going all the way down, just want to show you our team. Okay, so here's me, one of the founders. We all actually are developers basically. Cool. But I mean, yeah, I'll link the websites in the description below. But yeah, let's get back to what this video is actually about, setting up a Ethernity Cloud node. Okay, cool. Firstly, okay, before we actually do anything, okay, so what I do suggest you guys doing, right, is firstly, I'd suggest you guys actually downloading an application called MobaXterm. This will actually be so helpful for you guys, like you won't believe. So we're not going to actually do all these commands on a Linux machine because we can't actually copy and paste from a website onto a Linux machine. So I do suggest you downloading MobaXterm. It's free for users and so very easy to use. Okay, so yeah, let's just get started. Cool. So firstly, right, what do we actually want to do? Okay, so I think before you guys even start to consider actually setting up an Ethernity Cloud Node, we should actually first check if your CPU supports it. Okay, so I'm running this on a Intel G3900, which is a Celeron, and it's only a dual core CPU. It's only got 2 gigs of RAM, which is fantastic to actually be able to run this node on. And yeah, to actually see if your CPU supports it, we're just going to go into Google and just type in Intel G3900. Okay, and yeah, you should get all the details below. If we scroll mostly towards the bottom, we are actually looking for Intel XGX support. Okay, so this is the security guard extension. So it says yes with Intel ME. So I know that my CPU actually supports it, which is the G3900. So you'll notice, just to give you an idea, it's mostly in line with the 6th or 7th gen CPUs. If your CPU is a 6th or 7th gen Intel CPU, you are most likely able to support the SGX capability. In terms of AMD CPUs, I'm sorry for you guys, I actually haven't seen that feature. I think it's an Intel only feature that SGX supports. So yeah, you will need an Intel CPU for this. Also, just to give you a heads up, I mean, even if your CPU does support it, if some motherboard manufacturers don't actually allow you to enable SGX support, so say for instance my laptop is an Intel i7 and it's a Lenovo, it's the 7700HQ, and my CPU supports it, but my motherboard does not allow me to enable it. So this is mainly aimed for desktop PCs for you to actually set up. Okay, cool. Anyways, yeah, let's get started. Okay, so in MOBA Xterm, we've got user sessions. We actually want to set up a user session. So we right click, new user session. We want to SSH into the machine. Okay, and we just put in the IP address. 0.33. We specify the username. My username is Matthew. Okay, and we just want to put our session name. Let's just name it Ethernity Cloud Node. Okay, cool. Okay, we go okay. Okay, cool. So it's asking me for my password. It means I can connect to the machine. So let's get into the machine. Yes. Okay, I don't want them to manage my passwords. Okay, cool. So guys, just to give you a tip, okay. So as I said, what to do and what not to do. So let's go back to here. I'm not going to go through the whole Linux installation. I mean, your Linux installation is already here. So just one thing to actually note is that there's Ubuntu 18.04 that you actually need to download. So if we actually go to the original Ubuntu site, sorry, wrong one. Okay, so basically you'll see that there is a link to the 18.04.6 ISO file. Okay, so I highly recommend you guys actually downloading the image from the Ethernity Cloud documentation, just because. Okay, so what I did before was, when I go downloading from the Ubuntu website, I go to manual server installation and I go to alternative downloads, and it takes me here, get Ubuntu server 18.04 LTS. Okay, if I click on it, okay, you'll see that it actually downloads a different version, even though it's the same version number, right? You'll see that the prefix of this one is gonna be it says live server. Okay, whereas the prefix of downloading this one doesn't have the live server, and the installation actually looks different. Okay, so highly recommended you actually download from here. So if I actually use the image from the Ubuntu website, I would actually get weird errors when actually running my virtual machine. So normally when on Linux startup or reboots, it would actually hang for a good few minutes until I press enter, and then it starts up. So to avoid weird bugs like that, just use the image from the Ethernity Cloud's website. You won't go wrong there. And I mean, if you scroll down, it will tell you how to do everything. So yeah, I'm not going to show that in this video. My main intent is to show how to actually set up your actual node after installation of Ubuntu. Okay, great, 100%. So we're actually going to go down to okay, download. That's how to actually download. Okay, let's go to installing the actual node. Okay, but let's first jump back a step, check SGX support. Okay, so to actually make sure that your CPU and motherboard have SGX enabled, right, we first gonna copy this. Okay, and the nice thing about MobaXterm is that when you right click, it actually pastes for you. Okay, so we're gonna clone that repository. Okay, so I'm grabbing that repository at the moment. Okay, then we actually gonna go inside the repository after we actually downloaded that. Okay, so I mean, I'd probably say it's actually good for you guys to actually know a few basic Linux commands. Like pwd will actually tell you where you actually are within the actual Linux directory. Cd would be change directory. So just knowing those basics can be very helpful. The reason why I actually like MobaXterm is that it has an actual file browser on the left hand side. So even if you don't want to use the actual terminal and actually find files manually, you can actually go to the left hand side, you can actually drag and drop files, you can delete files, and you can even change permissions on files. I mean, if you right click change permissions, I mean, you can do all that here, I mean, which is fantastic. But yeah, just waiting for this to actually download. Cool, 100%. It seems like our download is actually complete. Okay, cool, 100%. So to actually see, as I said, PW will tell you where you are in your directory, and also if we say LL, it will actually list all of our directories and files within the current directory that we're in. So our next thing is we want to CD into our MVP POX node. Okay, so if we type M and press tab, right, it completes it for you. It's magical. So yeah, we're actually in that directory right now. Okay, and what we actually want to check now is run the SGX test. Okay, so we're going to copy that, we're going to paste this. Okay, cool. So basically it says that in the documentation, SGX available 1, at least one of our cores has to have SGX available. Okay, so SGX available, we also have 1, which means our CPU does actually support it, which is fantastic. Cool, so we can actually proceed to the next step. Okay, so we can actually go to installing the node. Okay, so basically we actually installing Ansible. Okay, so what is Ansible? A lot of you guys actually wanted to actually know. So basically Ansible was actually released in 2012. It's basically an open source software. It's actually made for provisioning virtual environments, configuring virtual environments, and it also deploys your applications. So think of it very similar to Docker or Docker Swarm or Kubernetes. Okay, so I mean, the Ansible does all this for you. I mean, it's a great tool to actually use. Yeah, so that's what we're actually installing right now. Cool. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to do a sudo update. I'll explain a bit about these commands. Sudo updates is actually updating your repositories within Ubuntu to actually support installing Ansible. So you'll need this first. Okay, it's going to ask for my password. I'll put it in. So it's actually downloading those libraries. Cool. It says it's done. Next, I'm gonna install the properties common to Ubuntu. Copy paste. Okay, fantastic. That was actually quite quick. Okay, cool. So basically we're gonna add the Ansible repository in this line. Okay, that should also be quick. Then after that would be install Ansible. Cool, that's done. We're installing Ansible right now. It should also be relatively quick. Cool, perfect, 100%. Okay, so let's just move to the next step, which is cloning the repository. So I know a lot of I've seen in the Discord chat that people actually clone this repository again inside another repository. Guys, please don't do this. I mean, we actually, so if you actually did follow my steps in the checking in SGX support, we already did a clone on the repository. Please don't do it again. It's kind of pointless and will actually just get you confused at the end of the day. Okay, so yeah, we kind of have to think of what we're actually doing here. Okay, I mean, okay, so we're installing the kernel for XGX support now for the virtual machine. So cd mvp-pox-node, I mean, we're already in that directory, as you can see over here, that mvpox node. So we actually don't need to do that actually. Okay, so the next step, we will actually install the Ansible collection. This is for virtualization on Ansible. So let's just install that. Okay, that was quick. Okay, so now we're going to actually install libvirt. Okay, so what libvirt is basically is actually a virtual machine manager in a nutshell, pretty much. So we'll need that to be installed as well. That should also be quite quick. Okay, success. Okay, please guys, if you actually do see any red or any errors, please actually stop, because I mean, if you do carry on, your node's not going to work. But yeah, so far so good. We've actually seen all successes, which is fantastic. Cool, so next we're going to run the next step. So we're actually running the Ansible playbook. So basically, I think this is actually configuring the node, actually setting all the settings for the node. So yeah, this does sometimes take a bit of time to actually run. Okay, so it's running at the moment. And then afterwards, we should get a message say the kernel has been updated, a boot is required. So we're just going to wait for that. Cool, fantastic. It actually looks like it's done. So yeah, I think this took roughly about 10 minutes or so. But I mean, yeah, here's the message. The kernel has been updated, a reboot is required. I mean, which is fantastic. So I mean, it will be a sudo reboot to actually reboot the system over here. Cool, so it's gonna paste this in. Okay, cool. System has shut down. So yeah, we obviously lose connection to mobile Xterm. Okay, so what I actually want to go through next, right? What we're gonna do is we're actually gonna create our config file. This will contain our two wallet addresses. Normally, setting up a node, right? It only contains one wallet address, but for Ethernity Cloud, it looks like we actually need two wallets for the actual node setup. Okay, so what I do recommend is actually copying this, okay, and actually opening up a notepad. Okay, so basically the first wallet is going to be, that's the public key. The second one is the private key for that. So we know they call this the data processor. Okay, and the second wallet is the result processor. So that's the public key, this is the private key. Okay, so obviously we should own our own keys. So yeah, we're actually going to do that right now. Okay, so while our node is actually resetting, what we actually want to do, so if you scroll down, right, it says that you can actually go to blockchain wallets. It will actually tell you how to actually manually generate your own keys. Okay, But what I do find a lot easier than actually doing this, right, is actually creating these wallets on your MetaMask. Okay, so what we're going to do, right, first, okay, so let's just say we've got our MetaMask open. This is my public address. What we want to do is we actually want to add that Bloxburg network, which is running Ethernity Cloud. So we go add network. Okay, it's going to ask us for our details. And I think if you scroll down here, we go to ETNY on Bloxburg. Okay, so this will actually tell you how to actually set up everything on MetaMask. Okay, so it asks for our network name, which is Bloxburg. We're just gonna add that in here. Fantastic. This is our RPC URL, so we're just gonna copy this. Great. Chain ID 8995 or the 0x2323. I'm just gonna use that. And currency symbol is Bergs. And the block explorer is this address over here. So we'll need the block explorer to actually see what's actually happening in our wallet. Okay, cool. So we go save. Okay, and it's going to add everything. So you see here, we've actually got the Bloxburg network. Okay, so now we've got one account, right? So we've got account one. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to rename this account just so it follows their wording standards pretty much. So if we go to account details, account one, we're going to call this the ETNY-data processor. Okay, enter. Cool. So we've got our data processor now. Now we're actually going to create another account. Account is going to be called ETNY-result processor. Okay, this is our second wallet. Okay, cool. So now we've got two wallets. One is our data processor, one is our result processor. Okay, guys, so obviously you see here, I've already got 0.02 Bergs on pretty much each wallet. Okay, so I actually did this beforehand. So how to actually request Bergs, right? So if you scroll back up and let's go to installing node and also blockchain wallets. Scroll a bit down, it says that we can actually request some Bergs from this faucet. Okay, so all we do is we actually just put our public key there and it will actually send it basically instantly. So copy that, paste it over here, just complete the reCAPTCHA and you request 0.02 Bergs. Okay, so I've pre-did this before. So the thing is that it's recommended that you have Bergs so your node can actually process transactions. It cannot process transactions without any Bergs. Just this is due to gas fees. So I'd recommend you having on both wallets. Just a trick, right? So basically on our first node, right, when you request for Bergs, it will go through successfully. But as soon as you put another wallet and you request again, it says that you already requested Bergs. So I think they're actually tracking this by IP address. So you can only request a certain amount of Bergs every few hours, I'm imagining. So an easy way to do this is I've actually got a 3G device. Connect your another laptop to another device which has a different IP address and then just request your second public address there. Okay, and there you go, and yeah, that should actually work. Well, that's what I did anyways. Okay, cool. So going back to this, right, so we right now have our data processor and result processor. Now we want to what we want to do is copy these public and private keys in our config file. So we're just copying the data processor, replacing the address with our public key, which is that. Okay, and to actually get our private key, just go to the drop down over here, account details, and export private key. Okay, guys, just remember not to share your private keys, otherwise someone has your accounts. This is just a test account, so I'm okay with it. So there we go. Copy that private key. We're just gonna paste it in here. Cool, 100%. Now we do it for the next one. So we go to the result processor. Okay, copy the public address. Okay, and we're gonna go get our private key now. So export private key, put in our MetaMask password. Okay, I'm just gonna copy this. private key. Okay, we're just going to paste it over here. So yeah, that is basically our config file. Okay, so yeah, our node should actually be up and running by now. Restarted. Cool, no issues. Cool. Okay, so we're in our machine right now. So next step. Okay, so we're going to go back to installing the node. Next step is to actually cd, so change directory into the MVP pox node. Okay, so as you can see, we're not in that directory, so we're just going to cd into it. Okay, and now it says create that config file. Okay, so yeah, this node actually, as I said before, it needs two keys to actually run the node, and yeah, we've got it right here in our file, in our notepad file that we've copied. Cool. Just gonna copy that. Okay, now we're just gonna paste it in here. So when you right click, it's gonna ask you, do you want to confirm the pasting of this? I'm gonna go OK, and I'm just gonna go enter. Okay, so what this does is it creates a config file with your addresses, pretty much, with your public and private keys. So on the left hand side, if we go to MVP pox node and we go to the config file, we can actually see what time it was actually created. So it was created on the 6th of Feb at 1740. It's 1740 right now. So yeah, that's what it basically did. Okay, so after that, we're just going to move on to deploying the node. Okay, so I mean, these commands I think we've already done up here already. I'm not sure why the guide says we have to actually do it again, but there's no harm running it again. So it will basically say that it's already installed. I'm just going to copy the next command so far, which is installing that libvirt. Okay, yep, it says that the virtualization is already installed. Okay, sorry, let me just copy that again. Cool, it should say it's already installed. Okay, yep, it says that it's already installed. Use the force to change version to unspecified. Okay, we're gonna do the next one. Sorry, when you actually highlight stuff, it actually copies stuff to the clipboard, so I shouldn't actually do that. Let me just copy this again. So yeah, guys, this is gonna take a good while. It depends on your CPU, since I've got a really slow Celeron G3900. This process can take like a good 20 minutes, so please be patient with it. So it's basically configuring your virtual environment, installing your config files. If you're on Ubuntu, it actually, yeah, it sets up your virtual environment for you, cleans up your virtual environment files, deploys it, provisions it. Yeah, so that can actually take a while. So yeah, that will take 20 minutes, plus minus on average. As I said, depending on your CPU, if you've got a fast CPU, it might take much quicker. Cool. Okay, cool. It looks like it's actually finally done. It actually took much longer than expected. I think it was about 45 minutes. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, we've got the Ethernity node installation successful, which is fantastic. Okay, cool. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to proceed to the last steps. So, I'm assuming this is the service file, okay? So, basically, what a service file is, it's a file that you can actually automatically start up when the node starts. We're going to do that. Perfect. Yeah, and the last line, we're gonna start the ETNY Vagrant service. So I mean, ETNY Vagrant is basically a virtual machine. Well, the Vagrant is a virtual machine, or other known as an enclave. So you'll see that to actually run Ethernity node, you're actually running a virtual machine on your Linux machine. I think it's been running with Docker image, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so let's get back to it. So we're just gonna start it up. Cool. Yeah, before we do that, what I'd actually like to do is I'd actually like to see if the service does actually still run even though your machine does restart. So what I'm going to do is just a sudo reboot quick. Okay, cool, it's rebooting. Shouldn't take too long to reboot. Okay, I'm just trying my luck, but I don't think it's rebooted yet. Alright, cool, I'm just going to try again, guys. Cool, there we go, machine's booted. No, okay, cool, I'm in the machine. So, what are we going to do now? Okay, cool. So we actually want to know, is the node actually running and what to actually look out for. So basically we go to monitoring the node. Okay, so basically this actually prints out the service, the status of the actual service itself. I'm going to put in a password. Okay, cool. So basically, machine booted and ready, creating shared folders for metadata, machine ready provision. So I mean, this actually looks good. Cleaning up previous DP requests. Okay, so I mean, there isn't any errors. I mean, there's a connection refused retrying, but I mean, afterwards it says machine booted and ready. So yeah, it retried and yeah, it's working. The other thing to look out for is the node logs. So to actually look at the node logs, you can also run this as well. Okay, that just prints out the node logs, which is basically the same thing, which is great. So yeah, I mean, everything looks good so far. Okay, so what I'd actually want to go to is configuring the node. Okay, so basically, if you actually want to configure the node further, so when Ethernity Cloud actually does go to mainnet, I'm assuming your rewards is basically going to be based on how many transactions your node actually pushes through, or actually processes, or even finds blocks. So I mean, my machine only has 2 gigs of RAM anyway. I've only got 2 CPUs, and your domain virtual size is 40 gigs. So yeah, I'm not going to change these defaults. I mean, you guys can actually go ahead and actually change it. This is located in the Vagrant file in MobaXterm. So I mean, even on the left hand side, you can go to the MVP POX node, and this is a Vagrant file. So you can easily just double click it, and then it'll just open up, and this is your actual Vagrant file. I mean, here's your settings that you can actually change. Nice thing is that you can say Control S, and then it will just save directly to the machine and upload the file, which is fantastic. That's what I love about MobaXterm. Very powerful tool. Okay, cool. So after doing that, you have to destroy your Vagrant, and then this will actually set up your Vagrant again, and then afterwards you have to restart your service. But yeah, other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it, eh? Okay, so basically what I actually do want to show you is that I think before, a few days ago, when I actually set this node up from scratch, there is 1 or 2 issues that I actually have come across. Let me see if I can actually get it. I'll get it for you guys now. Okay, so I mean, I followed the whole instructions from start to finish. It doesn't seem like I'm getting it now, but I'm assuming they actually fixed the issue. I did also see a few other Discord members in the chat also having the same issue. Let me just see if I can just find it again. Cool, so I actually did paste it under the node's help desk. Yeah, I'm just gonna paste you the image. Just give me a second. Cool, I think I found it. So basically, I'm just gonna copy it to a MS Paint image. Okay, cool. So 100%. So yeah, if you actually have a look at this file over here, it says. Okay, so basically when I actually started up the node, right, it looked like the Ethernity Vagrant box was actually starting up, and then it says cannot open var log etny-node.log, and then your machine just shuts down completely. So guys, if you are receiving this error message, I wouldn't be surprised if you are, because I mean, I did receive this a few days ago. You might actually come into this, but basically what it's saying that it can't actually find the Eternity node log within the actual Vagrant machine itself. So I'm going to show you what to do to actually fix it if you do run into this issue. So if we actually go back to our box, we actually have to cd into our mvvpox node folder, and there we can actually access our vagrant, or other known as virtual machine. So we're gonna sudo vagrant ssh. Okay, so we're actually as the vagrant user, as you can see down here. So it says we need to go into our var/log file. Okay, and if we go ll, it lists all of our files within the actual folder. So as you can see here, I mean, this we see there's a etny-node.log, so it seems like they did fix the issue. But say for instance, what happens if we didn't actually see the file? So I mean, all we had to do is go sudo touch etny-node.log, and basically it will create the file for you. And then afterwards, we actually exit out of this. And then we basically restart the actual vagrant node. So we go sudo restart systemctl restart etny-vagrant. Okay, and that basically will restart the vagrant service for you. Okay, but yeah, that's if you have that issue. Just one thing. So I mean, it's great seeing all these these logs, but I mean, how do we actually know for sure that our node is actually running? Well, it's actually quite easy. I mean, you just do this. So let's go back to Chrome, going back to MetaMask. So we basically go to our data processor, and within our wallet, we just want to view this account in Explorer. Let's have a look at what it says. Okay, cool, 100%. So you'll see that if you scroll all the way down, you'll see that your transaction that was actually passed through, so this is when I requested the 0.02 bergs, okay? And if you see the contracts call success, it means that your node is processing these transactions, which is fantastic. This is how you definitely know for sure that your node is configured correctly and is up and running. What I was worried about a few days ago is that the node wasn't actually processing any transactions. So as you can see here, I actually requested for the bergs 4 days ago, but my node only started processing transactions a day ago. So I mean, yeah, as I did say, they are fixing this issue. They did fix this issue. There were issues, and it seems to be resolved, so which is fantastic. Yeah, funny enough, just to remind you of my previous video, I did say that why do we need Ethernity Cloud? I'm going to do another video on why we need that. So I actually follow Ivan on tech, and he was going on about how YouTube accounts were completely compromised. But yeah, I'll do that in the next video. But yeah, please guys, please can you actually subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please join the Telegram channel for NebuHub, as well as follow our Twitter. We are actually doing really awesome stuff, guys. Please support us, and that'd be awesome. But yeah, here we go. Here is our outro.